into our 19th straight month and the madness of March here at the Frat House on the 7th of March on 5 Minutes at the Frat House with Frat House Mike and Sidekick. And are you ready for the madness tonight?
Am I ready for madness? Oh, I'm ready for madness, all right.
This show could get pretty crazy.
There's something screwy around here.
You never quite know what might happen. But well, listen, we're going to run around tonight and we're going to take a look at, hey, how about this? 6 different sports that we're going to be covering tonight. And let's kick it right off with a bit of motorsports. How about that?
Yep.
And that took us last Sunday out to the Phoenix International Raceway for the second Sprint Cup race of the season, which turned out, Sidekick, to be a fairly clean race, free of really any kind of major events.
What? Wait.
Okay, did I miss something?
Breaking news.
Uh-oh.
Breaking news.
What?
We had the first woman in NASCAR to hit a wall. It didn't happen at Daytona, but it happened in Phoenix, all right.
Yes, it did. I forgot about that major event. I was going to say there weren't any major events except for Carl Edwards. Now, I guess somebody else went and took his spotlight. Hey, listen, Carl Edwards, yes, he did in fact win his first race in 70. How about that?
Yep.
And ironically took the checkered in the Subway Fresh Fit 500 in his Subway number 99 Ford Fusion. Others who came in the top 5 out there at Phoenix this past weekend. Jimmy Johnson with his second top 5 in 2 races. Denny Hamlin came in 3rd. Defending Sprint Cup champion Brad Keselowski came in 4th. And hey, how about there's Dale Jr. Getting off to a good start early in the season with his second top 5 already. He came in 5th. And so the early season right now leaderboard, it moved around just a little bit. Jimmy Johnson, though, still stays atop the list by just 8 points over, number 2, Dale Jr., as I pointed out. And number 3, Brad Keselowski. Denny Hamlin makes an appearance on the board, and he makes the top 5, 72 points for him, and he's tied with number 5, Clint Boyer, who also tops the list, although best he's done so far is just that top 10 that he had this past weekend.
Yep.
So
Uneventful,
right now, early.
Uneventful race for Clint Boyer, unlike last year at this time.
That's true.
If you remember that incident with Jeff Gordon.
That's right. Well, that was the end of the season, correct? Right, at that one, right. Now, we haven't gotten into any real prognostication yet this season, Sidekick. But let me go there for a moment, just a moment. 2 races so far this season. What's your thinking on early season champions? I mean, so we've seen 2 races. We got 2 races under our belt. Mm-hmm. Any gut feelings here on where you see things going? Keselowski's the defending champ. Jimmy Johnson's gotten off to a good start. Dale Jr.'s gotten off to a good start.
I think, you're seeing a lot of teams pick up where they left off last year. I mean, there's not any,
true.
looking at the top 12, there's a couple surprises in there. Mm-hmm. Eric Amarola is in there.
Yeah.
Marcos Ambrose is in there. But, you've got your usual, suspects. You've got, Biffle, Martin Gordon, Stenhouse Jr., rookies up there. Mm-hmm. Edwards is up in the top 12. So, we know who the cream teams are and who that are going to rise up.
The Toyotas still seem to be having difficulties as they did all last season.
Yes.
I mean, I've not been impressed with Kyle Busch in particular. I've not been impressed with the whole Toyota team.
Yeah, I think they're trying to do something with those motors. Mm-hmm. And that because you saw it. I mean, Kyle Busch got they pulled his motor out.
Yep.
And he started at the back of the pack.
Yep. Well, the same happened with was it Hamlin as well, correct? Yep. And yet, I have been impressed with the Gen 6 Fords, with both Jimmy Johnson and with Dale Jr.
Right.
So, I, for one, right now, I'd have to give the early lead and the early nod to the Chevys.
Yep.
All right. Well, that's our thinking at this point right now. Just a little bit of early season chat and prognostication on that one. Venue changes a little bit this weekend, just slightly, as we head out to the Las Vegas Motor Speedway, a half-mile super speedway, and that's a 3 p.m. start over on Sunday, live on Fox. Sidekick, that brings us to you because, for gosh sakes, both of us need a little bit of help with our fantasy lineups. Gosh knows I do, so give me your best suggestions.
Well, we're going to hit another track type now. We're going to go intermediate track racing.
Yes.
We're going out to Vegas. Place your bait.
Yep.
This week, drivers we're going to look at are, I'm going to go with last week's winner, Carl Edwards. He won in 2011. He was 5th place last year. And Vegas is historically a good track for him. He's sitting at 22.75.
Okay.
Pretty reasonable. Brad Keselowski, historically, not good at Vegas. But we saw last year how tracks that he was not historically good at, he was doing really well at. Like he's turned his fortune around. So, on intermediate tracks last year, he had 3 wins. And he scored the 5th most points on intermediate tracks. So I'm going to say I think he's kind of kicking those demons to the side. And I think you're going to see a different race out of Keselowski this week. He's a little expensive, sitting at 28. Okay. But I think you'll find it's a good 28 to spend. Kyle Busch.
Yeah.
I know you've mentioned about the
home track.
You mentioned about the motor issues that they've had. But back in 2009, Kyle qualified on the pole, had to go to the rear for an engine change, still won that race.
Yes.
So he's sitting at 26.50. So we're going to spend some money this week, and then we're going to put some bottom guys in there as soon as I get my sheet there. And to round out our roster, we're going to go with some favorites here, lower guys. Bobby Labonte and David Reagan, $11 and $10 respectively. They're not going to get you big points. The names I spent a little bit on the front end, so to try and get you some big points. These guys are kind of just filling out your roster, or mid-range guys to get you through to get your 5 and get you in under $100.
Considering we're at Vegas, it seems to me Keselowski is a crapshoot.
Well.
That's my personal opinion on that one. I'm not sure on that one. Busch has fared well. Kyle has fared well in nationwide races as well. I think,
and he qualifies really well at Vegas. So we'll talk about it next week. We'll see where...
The only concern I've had consistently has been the Toyota cars. I've not been happy with them since last season. But all right, let's take a look at the top 10 teams currently right now in the Frat House Fantasy League. And as I pointed out, neither one of us currently right now are on that list. In fact, right now, Sidekick, you are currently ranked 11th.
Yep, just outside
I have stayed consistent at dead last out of 17 teams. Good for me. Some might say, well, you're not listening enough to Sidekick. It might be that I'm listening too much. There's our technical director, though, Brandon. He's sitting right now at 5th and looking like an early season Dale Jr. at this point. So there we are with our motorsports for this week. All right, let's jump over to our second sport that we're going to talk about tonight, and that's a new sport season that literally kicked off last weekend. And it's a sport, Sidekick, that I know you follow very, very closely. I'm going to turn this one kind of over to you. Give us an opening season glance at Major League Soccer. How about that?
Yep, Major League Soccer started up last weekend. Obviously, it was only the first weekend.
Right.
Most teams only played one game, so there's not a whole lot of activity on the old standings.
It's a long season too, isn't it?
Yes, yeah, it goes till about October, November time frame. So it's almost kind of like NASCAR.
Yep.
But there's more breaks. You've got summer breaks and different things like that. So, let's go ahead and look at the inaugural standings, if it were. In the Eastern Conference, we've got now. Actually, the top 4 teams are all tied.
Yes,
They've all got wins.
Yeah.
But we're going to highlight the top 2, the Columbus Crew and Sporting KC, who offed my Philadelphia Union this past weekend after getting off to a good start. They just came back and kind of overwhelmed them. And then in the Western Conference, we've got the champion LA Galaxy and Real Salt Lake.
Yep.
So,
How about a bit of an update for us, though, on your Union? Because I know you follow them religiously. You're very good about that. You're down to a lot of the home games. In fact, you're there for almost all of them. Big
Got
stories.
my season tickets.
What are the big stories coming out of the Union? How did they? You already pointed out they didn't do well this past week. What did they lose? 1-0?
It was actually 3-1.
Oh, okay. All right.
So and I gotta,
They have a match coming up this weekend, though, right?
Yes, they play the Colorado Rapids
in Colorado.
Yes,
and that's
on
a game
Saturday.
they're concerned about. That's a match they're concerned about because they've got a big snowstorm coming through there in a couple of days.
Yes, that'll be interesting about that game.
But we do have a big story right now in Philadelphia.
So, last season, you remember all the drama. I was sitting here ranting and everything. They got rid of my favorite player, Sebastian Letou.
Yep.
In this offseason, they managed to get Sebastian Letou back, leading scorer of the Philadelphia Union, by the way. Mm-hmm. And in the first game, he scored. Mm-hmm. He scored the lone goal. We eventually lost 3-1. Yeah. They played really strong through the first half of the game, and then towards the mid to end of the second half, things kind of started falling apart for them. Yeah. But then, it's the first game. Sporting KC is one of the early bets for early favorites for possibly getting the championship this year. So we'll have to we'll see how the season goes. It's not time to cry and go jump in the river. So.
When's that match for them in Colorado? Is that Saturday or Sunday?
It's Saturday night. I think it's 6 p.m. Eastern time.
Okay, so we'll be bringing you, as a result of that, we'll be bringing you another quick update on MLS action next week. And what you're going to want to do is stay tuned right here for your alternative football action.
Yep.
Alrighty, on to sport number 3. We're now a week closer to the official start of Major League Baseball. And we're now just 23 days away from opening day. Now, simultaneously, interesting, while we've got preseason exhibition games going on, we've also got the commencement of the World Baseball Classic, which is played every 4 years. It's made up of 16 national teams. And as a result of that, some of the MLB preseason squads right now are missing some of their roster players. For instance, the Phils are missing Jimmy Rollins as they're participating in that Classic that's going on as well. Now, the Classic started on March 1st. Well, some of the other international teams already got going. And that will conclude with the championship rounds going from March 17th until the 19th. Nonetheless, though, the other teams continue to move on in their respective, both the Grapefruit League and over in the Cactus League. So I thought perhaps real quick, take a look at what's going on in the Florida Grapefruit League. The Baltimore Orioles continue to lead all with a 7-2 record. Your St. Louis Cardinals right now, 5-5. I haven't included today's games. So I don't know what the actual, I do know this. The Phils lost today, so that's going to drop them to 6-6. I know that they already lost. But for preseason, for what it's worth. Over in the Arizona Cactus League, though, interestingly, my AL sleeper team is the Kansas City Royals. And right now, they're on a streak of their own. We're going to be talking streaks before the show's over. At the top of the at the top. Yeah, we're going to be talking 11-0. The Kansas City Royals are 11-0 right now in preseason. Seattle Mariners are 10-2 in the basement of the Arizona Cactus League. One that a lot of people have down as an NL favorite. The Cincinnati Reds are 2-11. Switch it up and go over and talk some round ball. How about some college round ball?
I thought we were talking round ball.
We're going. That's our fourth sport. All right, NCAA basketball.
Yep.
The madness continued this week in college round ball, with many of the ranked teams taking losses, and many analysts right now are saying that this could be one of the most wide open NCAA tournaments we've seen in a long, long time, coming up here in about 10 days.
So I might have a shot in my bracket this year? Is that what you're saying?
You may. Actually, you may. Really, because I'm going to tell you right now, if you use any logic to putting together the bracket, you may be a loser. Because every time you think you got it down, it's not going that way. In the AP Top 25 poll that was just released this past Monday, which it's already kind of moot because there have been changes in the rankings with teams going down that were listed in it. But let's take a look at where it stood as of Monday. I've been saying for weeks and weeks now, look there. Hey, how about Gonzaga takes over the number 1 spot from Indiana? And I've been saying it for weeks. Watch Gonzaga to come on. That moves the Hoosiers, the Indiana Hoosiers, down to number 2. Duke continues to hold strong and tight at the number 3 spot. And the Kansas Jayhawks move up to take over the number 4. Now, many had said that the number 5 Georgetown Hoyas would end up being a number 1 seed in the tournament, in the Big Dance tournament bracket. But that's now left to doubt just a bit because they lost to Villanova last night, 67-57. And that puts, for all intent and purpose, the belief is that's a lock now for Villanova getting into the NCAA tournament. And now a little bit of a question mark on where Georgetown is going to end up. They're going to be in there, just may not be a number 1 seed. Other notable movements in the top 25 included, hey, how about UCLA making the list at 23? After they weren't ranked last week. And VCU, Virginia Commonwealth, jumped back in on the top 25 again this past week. Your St. Louis Billikens hanging tough in there. In fact, moved up a bit to number 16.
And your favorites are hanging in there. They're hanging in there at the bottom.
I don't have them in my notes this week. Arizona was probably the biggest mover downward. Arizona dropped from number 11 to number 18. Now, currently as we see it, many of the conference tournaments already right now are going on. They're already underway. A lot of the bigger ones are scheduled to begin either this weekend or early next week, and they'll be going right through all of next week, leading up to Selection Sunday that will be taking place on Sunday. All right? So Selection Sunday is Sunday. Now, what that all means is that the open invitations to jump in on our Frat House Facebook will be up on our Frat House Facebook page. Open invitations for our Frat House NCAA Bracket Challenge will be up there this weekend. All right? Obviously, you're not going to be able to set your teams because nobody's going to know what the bracket is until a week from this coming Sunday. But at least you'll be able to register and you'll be able to participate in our bracket challenge. That is a lot of fun. Even Sidekick gets involved in it.
Yep.
And as he pointed out, he might have a shot.
Can't wait. I might have a winning bracket this year.
You may.
Right now, at this point, there's a chance.
And he picks all of his teams by color. Can you imagine?
But I'm colorblind.
But that might work. As we're seeing right now, this is, it's so much fun. It really is. So you're going to be watching.
I go by cheerleader uniforms.
You're going to be watching our Facebook page. Check it out. Get over there. Check it out. I'll have the posts up there this week. All right? Now, with so much NCAA tourney talk,
yep,
we thought perhaps maybe what we would do.
Get me all hot and bothered.
Is bring you a... But we thought we'd bring you a historical segment this week with our now and quickly popular, the Frat House Top-5. And this evening, it's our top 5 buzzer beaters in the NCAA. And coming in at number 7 was 2008's Cleveland State Vikings versus the Syracuse Orange, when Cleveland's Cedric Jackson hurled a 60-footer to upset number 11 ranked Syracuse with just 2 seconds remaining on the clock.
Coming in at number 6, we've got the 1992 Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets versus those USC Trojans.
Yep. And that was the shot, the 3-point shot from James Forrest. Go ahead.
Let's pause on that one for a second. Okay. Anyway, James Forrest's first and only 3-pointer of the season came in that.
Yes, it did. There it is. Coming in at number 5, the 2006 West Virginia Mountaineers versus the Texas Longhorns. When Longhorn Kenton Paulino, he nailed a 3-pointer at the buzzer to avoid overtime and beat West Virginia 74-71.
Coming in at number 4, Valparaiso Crusaders versus the University of Mississippi Rebels, Ole Miss. They were the Cinderella story of the 98 tournament.
Yep.
Off of Bryce Drew's 3-point shot with 2.5 seconds left in the game.
Yep, there it was. Coming in at number 3, let's go all the way back to 1981 for the Arizona Razorbacks versus the Louisville Cardinals. Razorback Ulysses Reed fired a half-court desperation shot at the buzzer, knocked off defending Cardinals by 1 point.
And number 2, 1983 NC State Wolfpack versus the Houston Cougars. Okay, who comes up with that? Why do I get the Trojans and the Cougars? Who came up with this? Really? Come on now. Anyway, no, seriously, for those of you that follow NCAA basketball, the Jimmy V Foundation, Coach Valvano was the coach for that NC State that wasn't expected to go anywhere, who shortly after that had passed away from cancer, I believe.
Yes.
So that's the big note there.
Won the championship that year, and they weren't even expected to be there. But the most famous of them all, one many of us have all seen coming in at number 1, many of us have all seen 1992, the Duke Blue Devils versus the Kentucky Wildcats, with the shot heard round the NCAA by Duke's Christian Leitner after receiving a nearly half-court pass and nailing the bucket at the buzzer. It was the most incredible thing. I will never forget this one as long as I live and as long as I remember it. I've been watching NCAA tournament stuff for a long, long time. That one really was incredible.
Now, Mike.
Yeah.
For those of us like myself who are not the biggest NCAA basketball fans,
yes.
I'm kind of,
I'm
starting to crawl,
Yeah.
a little bit of walking, a little stumbling. What's so big about that Duke-Kentucky rivalry?
The thing there was in 92. First of all, you had Coach K, who has been there, and they've got the freaking house named after him. You had Rick Pitino over there coaching Kentucky. That Duke-Kentucky rivalry was monstrous at that particular. Was that year in particular, mostly because of the dynamic between those two coaches. It was just a monster game between the two of them. Duke and Kentucky have continued to be rivals. Of course, everybody talks about Duke and North Carolina, but that particular rivalry just continues to hang in there. Just a big, big one. It was really, really fabulous to watch. Now, there you have it, and those are our historical look. You can bet you're going to be seeing many, many exciting finishes like that to be coming over the next 3 weeks or so. And perhaps, you never know, maybe something we see this over the next 3 weeks will make one of our future top 5s. Thanks to our production director, Jen, for putting together that historical perspective for one of my favorite sporting events of the entire year. Sport number 5. Let's stick with
more round ball.
Yep. For a few minutes here. And as I pointed out last week, we're now kind of at that time of the season in the NBA where, well, we're not really seeing too much movement going on at the top with the top teams. What you're actually seeing is you're seeing more kind of grappling going on for who's going to be the other teams that are going to be making the playoffs underneath them. But nonetheless, let's take a look at the division leaders in the NBA over the past week. Over in the Atlantic Division, the Knicks continue to stay 3.5 games in front of the Brooklyn Nets right now. The Knicks have not been exactly the same team that they started out the season. Recently have been kind of running as a 500 team, 5-5 in their last 10. In the Central Division, the Indiana Pacers, 7-3 in their last 10. They are still 4 games in front of the Chicago Bulls. The Miami Heat right now are rivaling all sports with what they are doing with a 16-game unbeaten streak. Absolutely incredible what they are doing. 45-14. Just beat Orlando Magic last night by 1 point with just seconds remaining. Who got the final shot? LeBron James. Who'd have thunk it? Where he's always maligned as never being the guy with the ball in his hand at the last seconds. He did it last night.
It's a conspiracy.
Right now, Miami is a staggering 11.5 games in front of the Atlanta Hawks. I'm not sure, but it seems to me that the strongest teams right now, and we're seeing it, are in the West. Over in the Northwest, Oklahoma City Thunder, 6-4 in their last 10. They are 5 games in front of the Denver Nuggets. Many are saying that the Denver Nuggets are the sleeper, and they actually will come out of that division. We'll see. Over in the Pacific Division, the LA Clippers, 8.5 games in front of the Golden State Warriors. 8-2 in their last 10. And San Antonio, over in the Southwest, now back on a roll again, 8-2 in their last 10. And they are 6.5 in front of the Memphis Grizzlies. Wow, wow, wow. A lot of basketball action we just brought to you in a real quick couple of minutes. There's our hoops action for the NCAA and the NBA. Sport number 6.
Oop, time for me to leave.
I was going to say, I know I'm doing this one by myself. And I will make this a fast moving NHL segment, as we are currently in a fast moving NHL shortened season. Well, at least I'm involved in that season.
Yep.
All the teams right now have practically hit the midpoint of the season, which will be concluding in 7 weeks from now on April 27th. So let's take a look at where teams are stacking up. No movement here in these divisions from last week as well. In the Atlantic, Pittsburgh Penguins right now playing the Philadelphia Flyers. They are now 5 points ahead of the New Jersey Devils. In the Northeast, Montreal Canadiens, only 1 point. Only 1 point ahead of the Boston Bruins. Over in the Southeast, the Carolina Hurricanes, now 27 points. And now 6 points ahead of both the Tampa Bay Lightning and the Winnipeg Jets. The Canes have had a very, very good run this past week. We've talked streaks in the NBA. Let's talk streaks in the NHL. In the Central Division, the Chicago Blackhawks, 21-0-3. 45 points. They are an incredible 19 points ahead of the Nashville Predators, who, as I've been saying for weeks now, are a very good team themselves. 21-0-3. They have not lost a game outright all season long yet. Vancouver Canucks lead in the Northwest. 27 points. They are 3 points ahead of the Minnesota Wild. And over in the Pacific Division, the Anaheim Ducks are now 9 points ahead of the Los Angeles Kings. All right, there's our hockey wrap for this week.
I thought you said that was going to be quick.
I tried to make it as quick as possible.
Okay.
Next week, we'll either be exclaiming about the Blackhawks again, or we'll be talking about
we won't.
who finally knocked them off and beat them. All right, let's go take a look at our Frat House Facebook post of the week real quick. And that was our most viewed post this week. The most viewed post was the post I put up, and it was all about Lauren Silberman. And if you don't know who she was the woman that tried out as a kicker in the one of the official NFL Open Combines last weekend.
Yep.
And I posted the comment up, more on women breaking the glass ceiling of men's sports. Well, obviously our female contingent liked that comment because it got a heck of a lot of views. Now, I put that post up in advance of the actual tryout, and as we all know, that didn't go very well.
Nope.
In fact,
Came up a little limp.
Yeah, in some a little limp did it. In fact, some
And she pulled her quad, I think.
some actually said that it actually did women more harm than it did good for them. I don't know. I'm not quite sure how to read it. Some were accusing it of being a stunt. That in fact it was nothing more than a publicity stunt. I know. Go ahead.
That kind of irks me when people do that sometimes.
What's that?
When it
was a stunt.
She says she's going to go for the combine. She goes in there, she hurts herself, and then immediately everybody turns it into this.
Well, I agree with you.
It was just a publicity stunt. She wasn't really, come on. Sometimes I think people get too cynical about things.
Sidekick, I agree with you. I put up comments after the fact that frankly I gave her a lot of credit. I mean, I understand it didn't go very well, but I gave her a lot of credit for trying.
I think it takes a lot of, chutzpah to,
Absolutely.
to actually try out.
I mean, I think
I
think Lauren Silverman, I think, what did I read? She's 27, 28 years old. She's a couple of years out of collegiate soccer, which is where she really was. She was a tremendous soccer player. I think she was, considered one of the best. And she gave it a shot. And I didn't read anything more into it than that.
Yeah. And it's not like she was the only one that pulled up limp, because they were, reading one of the stories, she was on the sideline with another kicker who hurt himself. Yeah. And they were kind of consoling each other.
I think the difference was that hers obviously made news because it was all being videotaped, and the 2 kicks only went like 15 yards.
Yeah.
So. But anyhow, Sidekick and I are in agreement. Listen, we give kudos to Lauren Silverman for giving it a shot. It was the most viewed post this past week. Keep it up. Stay tuned to our Facebook page. Keep the posts coming, particularly as we continue to go through this March Madness month. Plenty of things to be commenting on. Got through 6 sports right there. How do you like
Time
that
for
one?
shout-outs.
There we go. We're going to go run through our shout-outs real quick. Let's start it off with Fan Junkies. Get over there. Where sports meets social networking, all right? We heard changes coming again yet today on Facebook. All the news feeds are going to be changing. People are already up in arms about it, and we haven't even seen what it's going to look like. But, hey, if you don't want any of that hassle, and you want to talk sports, just get over to Fan Junkies. FanJunkies.net. Sign up. It's completely free. All right? It's just a whole bunch of us that talk sports. That's all it is. In a Facebook-type environment like the old Facebook. All right? Fan Junkies Radio. Couple of terrific shows we've had this past couple of weeks. Coming up next week. All NHL week. And we're going to be having all NHL former players, some coaches. We've got a couple of former referees and what have you. All NHL week coming up next week, and it's going to be, I think, actually continuing on into the week thereafter.
I'll be co-hosting that week, too. That's not happening.
Really. No, we're not letting you on. In fact, we won't even let you on as a caller. Fan Junkies Radio over on Blog Talk Radio Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 12 noon Eastern Time. You can catch me on there Saturdays with this show at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. Herb FM Sports, my gosh, they had us on twice this week. They had us on, I think it was last night, and then we're scheduled again for tomorrow night.
Yep, don't forget.
Down in Maryland. So that's herbfm.com. That's where you go for that one. Check that out. CLW 83. They rebroadcast all the Fan Junkies radio programs. CLW 83, my buddies Jim and Carl over there. Give them a listen as well. We're just filling all your time, aren't we? And then last but not least, Frat House Sports. .net, FratHouseSports.net, our website, where you can get everything that we post up there as well. Whoa, we got a lot into this show tonight. You can expect next week to be about the same as we continue March Madness month, and we'll be talking probably, all the pre-NCAA tourney stuff. So, until then, you know what you got to do. You got to keep us real, you got to keep us live, and you got to keep us going. We'll see you next week. See you there.
Time to go streaking.
Hamlin, he's on the apron. This could get big when they get to 3.
Hamlin could be, is second going into turn 3.
Can he hold it down? No, yes he can. He got it.
Winless streak over. Off turn 4. Carl Edwards wins the Subway Freshman 500.
By an inch.
In the gate.
He's pretty happy right now.